All right, I'm here with Callie. She's a little feisty because we've been here for a little over 3 hours, right, sweetheart? This is Callie's roadmap to success. Now, basically, I think in this case, I think Callie is a little bit insecure. She didn't go to puppy classes. Her guardians did a good job of socializing her. But there's just really no substitute for puppy class. And I find that a lot of dogs that miss puppy class end up having some insecurities. And so if you have a puppy, make sure you get into a positive reinforcement puppy class as early as you can, because that's where they develop their confidence. Now, in this case, I think that Callie is a little bit, I would say frustrated is the right word, but I think her guardians, like a lot of people, were doing things that was frustrating to Callie. I think she's been expressing herself, and the way that she expresses herself are ways that the guardians, felt was rude to their neighbors or friends or people who come and visit, which a lot of people do when our dogs bark and growl. I think in a lot of cases, in my experience, most dogs that act that way are doing so out of an insecurity or fear. So if you're afraid of spiders, and every time you said, I'm afraid of that spider, somebody told you to shut up or go sit down near the spider, that would not help. That would actually make it worse. And it's a very common mistake that a lot of people make. If your dog is expressing itself, it's barking, it's reactive, it's saying I'm uncomfortable or I disagree or whatever the case may be, we don't want to tell them to sit. That really puts them at a disadvantage. It's near the thing. The best thing you do is teach them to increase the distance. So one of the things that we like to do is if a dog is acting like that, we might take treats and throw it behind the dog. So it gets the dog to turn around and it's increasing the distance. Dogs are very front facing, so they don't often think about those sort of things. So now that the guardians kind of know where Callie's coming from and what she's trying to communicate, and they can stop doing the things that kind of cause her, that kind of amplify her insecurities, I think that she's going to start to naturally feel a lot more relaxed and comfortable and confident. And that's going to lower her reaction for a lot of things. Now, we did a little video on the Guardians camera about having guests come over. What I love the Guardians to do is to arrange to have some guests come over for very short visits. So we can set Callie up for success by exercising her. We went over some ways of exercising and stimulating her. A lot of us think of physical exercise the only way we can exercise a dog, but actually mental stimulation can be powerful and is really important for dogs so they don't feel bored. So one of the things I like the Guardians to do is get a lick mat. You can tape it on the wall or anywhere, and you go slap peanut butter. You can give her kibble and put the water on it. It'll become like a paste and put that down. I like peanut butter if she likes it, because dogs that lick, it actually releases endorphins. I'd also like them to look for some forms of enrichment. A Kong filled with peanut butter, an Omega Paw treat ball, probably the medium-sized one. You can get on Amazon. You can also get a lot of different toys and games. There's DIY enrichment games. One of them is getting a muffin pan and putting treats in all the little bindles, and then putting a tennis ball on top of each one. So she moves the tennis ball and then she gets a little reward afterwards. I'd also like them to get a snuffle mat and start feeding her out of the snuffle mat. That'll help boost her self-esteem and confidence. It'll slow down the feeding process. Right now the Guardians are free feeding her essentially. And that means, yes, you got a lot of treats. You're burping. And so if the dog has access to food all the time, eating is the most primarily important activity for dogs. So when the humans have a little bit of control over that, I don't mean in terms of pulling it away, but just the dog seeing that the humans are providing the food. If I don't eat, not a big deal. They're not going to punish me. But after a minute or a couple minutes, if the dog doesn't come over, then we pick up the bowl, we dump it empty, put the empty bowl back down. Now, I'd like the Guardians to switch from a free feeding to a bowl feeding that's kind of a little bit more on her schedule. And then I'd like to switch from that to a snuffle mat, which will get her a little bit more enrichment and stimulation. So basically for the bowl, put her food in the bowl. Make sure you eat something about 5 or more bites of a chip or cracker or whatever it is. Then invite her, tap your bowl, invite her over. If she doesn't come over within a couple minutes, no big deal. Pick it up, dump it empty, and put the empty bowl back down. 99% of the time, the dog will come back and lick the empty bowl. After you do that a couple times, you'll notice that when you offer it to her, she's going to come over and take it. And when she does, if you want to come up with a fun command word, say meatball or pork chop or whatever it is, right before she eats her food, after a while that becomes a command word. I do the same thing for food and water. I say agua, my dog goes and drinks water. Do I need to teach him to drink water? No, but if I'm on a hike or something, it's convenient to do. And I just find the more vocabulary we have, the better. Something else before I forget is I would practice the give and take game. So have a ball, and then just kind of hold it up, and remember the order. You want the word to precede the action to be followed by a reinforcer, being a pet or a treat. So if I have a ball, and this is Callie, I tease her with the ball a little bit, and right before she's about to take it, I say take, and then she clamps down on it. I might hold out a treat or just hold my hand out, and I anticipate when she's about to open it, and I say give, and then she drops it. So that becomes a game. So you can say give and take. And that way if she gets something like a bully stick or whatever it is, or something inappropriate, you say give, and she gives it to you. And then she thinks you're going to give it back. Now, if you're not going to give her the item back, make sure you give her some equal greater value, like a bully stick or a treat or something along those lines. Probably more of a bully stick than a treat. Also, I'd like you to get some bully bites. If you can go to Pets Earth, I'm sure they probably have them. I like them from the Natural Dog Company. There's a company called Natural Dog Company. I like the one with the in the beginning because they make all these chewables. So I would get a bag of bully bites. Bully bites are the smaller pieces, and that way you can give her those. Remember, when she's stressed out, she's going to want to chew. And also when guests come over, if she gets a bully bite or two, maybe she gets one in the room, or maybe when you take her into the other room and let her kind of relax, and she gets something to chew on and relieve a little bit of her stress. Let me see. Okay, so going back to the food. Put the food in. If she doesn't come over and get it with a certain period of time, then pick it up and dump it, put the empty bowl back on the ground. And when she starts actually eating out of it, then you could start, once she's eating, let her eat as much as she wants. As soon as she walks away, pick it up and dump it, put the empty bowl back down. When you get to the point where you put the food down and then she comes and eats it, then you could switch over to feeding her out of a snuffle mat. And you can feed her the same time of the day. The more consistent you are with things, the more comfortable she's going to feel. Now, some real basic dog psychology. Dogs learn through repetition, consistency, and good timing. You only have 2 seconds to correct or reward a dog for them to make a connection. So make sure you're rewarding. We talked about petting with a purpose of past training. We'll go over those in a second. Make sure you're trying to recognize that 2-second window. If it happens outside of that, she's just not going to make the connection. Also remember, good attention from you and bad attention from you is the same thing. So if she barks and you say stop, that's a reward. So if she's barking, the best thing to do is increase the distance, throw some treats behind her, whatever it is. But also better, if you can, set her up for success by getting her exercise before the thing happens. And when you have guests comes over, the Omega Paw treat ball, Kong filled with peanut butter, bully sticks, give her something to do while the guests are here. So that becomes a special fun place, some fun thing for her to do. Let me see. Anything your dog does in your presence that you don't specifically disagree with is looked at as having your seal of approval. So make sure that you're, I would say disagreeing, but reacting to things right away. Don't wait too long. Also remember that breaking a rule is to reward a dog is very confusing and frustrating for them. Lack of consistency is probably one of the most frustrating things we do for them. And if we don't want them to do something and then we reward them by letting them do that thing, that's like giving an addict a hit of whatever it is they're addicted to after they've been clean. It's just going to reinforce, and they're going to open Pandora's box. They're going to want it more and more and more. So if you want to reward her, give her a belly rub, scratch her behind your ear, scratch her butt, take her for a walk, play games, whatever it is. Just don't break rules to reward her. Let me see. Other forms of stimulation, scent games, and that's a big one. So that's hiding treats around your place. Remember, right before she's about to look it up, you say hunt, search, find it, booty, treasure, whatever the word is, and then she licks up the treat, and then she looks and finds the other one. So after a while, you could just, she's outside or somewhere else, she bring her in the room, you say, hunt, and she's like, holy cow, there's 5 treats, and she starts sniffing the room looking for them. Don't put them in places she's not allowed to go, but that's a nice way to help her feel more relaxed and comfortable because it burns energy and it's relaxing. Remember, on walks, let her sniff as much as she wants to do so on walks. So instead of thinking a circuit, well, I'd like you to make sure she's getting a 1 walk a day. Doesn't have to be a long walk. I'd like to see like a 20-minute walk, but just walk that down your path for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you have. Half the time that you have, go in one direction, then cross, and then turn around and come back and have her walk on the other side. Let her sniff as much as she wants to. That's relaxing and comforting, and it'll help a lot. Also, what I would recommend is you get, probably move your little ottoman here by the windows, and if any window that she can see out like downstairs, I would get like about 1.5 feet of white paper and just put it at the very bottom of the window, tape it usually on the outside if she scratches, otherwise you can put it on the inside. So the problem is if she barks, see somebody, the movement's going to attract your attention, she's going to race over there, and that's going to help develop a habit. So you put that paper down at the bottom, come. That's passive training. We'll talk about that in a sec. So put that paper at the bottom so she can't see the movement. That'll help reduce her barking. And if she does run over the window, she hears something, she barks, she doesn't see them go away. So otherwise, if she barks them and they go away, that's like validating. Your barking worked. The barking made people move away. So instead, we want her to understand that that's not going to get her what she wants. Let me see. What else? Anything your dog is doing when you pet it or give it attention, what you're specifically rewarding. Good attention and bad attention, same thing. So your dog barks and you say quiet, like I said, that's reinforcing. But also works for positive things. Whenever petting her, try to pet her under her chin. And right there, the guardian asked her to sit. She gave a hand signal for sit, and she sat. She reached over to grab a treat. Don't ever discount just giving that affection. Remember, 2 seconds is your maximum, but the closest you can get to the genesis of the action, the more impactful it will be. So if she sits, I'd rather have you pet her and then you can give her a treat for a little bit things a little bit more difficult. Perfect. And that was a great example of passive. Well, that was really more putting with a purpose, but that was great because he said the word come when she was a foot away. That was passive training. So she's walking towards me, come, and then I reach over and pet her. You can't see that on camera, I see, but that's what she did. All right, so let me see. We talked about having some rules and structure. Those things help a dog feel a little bit more comfortable and confident. And so basically, some of the rules, I would recommend not letting her around the kitchen table when we're eating, not in the kitchen when we're preparing food. Also asking her to do things before she gets what she wants. So before you open the kennel to let her out, tell her to sit. And as soon as she sits, open that door. If you say sit and she doesn't sit, now as long as she can do the activity, if she's too crazy, maybe just sit down, wait for her to relax a little bit, and then as soon as she sits down, go and open that door. So what you're saying is when you're calm and sit, that's when I open the door. I'd like you guys to do a little settle exercise. So get ready to pet her and say C-O-M-E. Say come, and then pet her. And the guardian kind of held his hand out and waited. So if she comes, I would say come when she's 1 foot away, and then you can reach out and pet her. Don't wait for her to come to you because that 2 seconds is really important. I'd rather have you reach out and pet her than waiting for her to come. And if it takes 3 seconds, that's going to be harder for her to make that connection. Let me see, what else? The doggy stairmaster, maybe you could do that. Remember, as you throw the treat, when she runs down, she's a foot away, you would say Cabo, or where the words go down, and then call her back up, and then give her another treat. When guests are here, it seems like when she's more stressed is when she has a problem with that floor. So I would, like I said, look at carpet land or something like that, and just getting a couple runners that you put in there. So it's going to help her feel comfortable to get up on those things. Otherwise, sometimes she might have ran across the floor once and slid and crashed into something, and that caused her to be fearful about it. Yes, you're such a sweetheart. Yes, you are. If you want her to do the camera trick, remember you hold up the camera, then you take it away and give her a treat. Hold the camera, she looks at it, say cheese, then give her the treat. After a while, you just hold up her camera and she'll look at you and she'll smile with her eyes and all those fun things. And it's easy. Now, when you have guests come over, I would try to get the visits to be short. And I'd like to precede the action with the treat. Now, that's technically not right. We'd like the action to come and then the treat to come after. But if she's just going to run and bark at someone or lunge and nip at them, that's practicing something inappropriate or something we don't want. So if I'm going to get up, I'm going to show her I have a treat and throw about 5 treats behind her. She goes away. I've increased distance. Remember, that's the best thing you do is anytime she's reacting is increase distance. So I throw 5 treats away. If you can't have it hit the wall so she hears it, then she goes over there and then I can get up and move away. And if she rushes at me, I'm going to stop as soon as I recognize that she's rushing at me. Oh, you're giving me some kisses? Thank you. Whenever petting, try to pet her under her chin if all things are equal. Try never to pet her on top of the head. The oval right here, chest and shoulders and under the chin are the best places to pet. Oh, yes. Are you a little tired? Yes. Are you a little I think she's frisky. I think she wants to play. Mm-hmm. So that's good. We like that. Yes, you got a nice smile. You're going to bite my ace bandage, huh? Okay, let me see, what else? We also went over the pre-mac is the less desirable behavior earns me more desirable behavior. So before you prepare her food, walk over where the food is, tell her to sit. Once she sits, then prepare her food. And then you have the dish up here, the snuffle mat. Tell her to sit again, then put the mat down. Sit before you let her out of the kennel and all the rest of that stuff. So asking her to sit really helps, and I would probably recommend not doing shake or high five and all that stuff. It's easy to teach, but I find it confuses dogs, and dogs are like, if you like this, you must really like this. If a dog jumps up on you, it can be a way of claiming you as theirs, and that confuses the dynamic as well. So I would look for some easy tricks to teach her, and then do some basic clicker training or whatever it is. And the more tricks and commands you teach her, even if it's just teach her to do a circle or to go under your leg and then get a treat for that. There's something called gamify your training, which is just making everything games, which is really helpful. But if you can teach her some new tricks and commands, training and behavior are different, but the confidence that she gains from learning tricks and commands will help with her behavior. It also helps with the dynamic. If I have a mentor, somebody that's involved in me learning and progressing through things, I'm going to have a higher sense of value of that person. So the more that you teach her these new tricks and commands, I think the more comfortable she'll get. When guest comes over, tell guests to ignore her. Don't try to pet her or look at her or talk to her. Direct eye contact can be a challenge if she doesn't like you. Even if she likes you, she's not going to like you staring at her the whole time. Just have your guests ignore her, and if they do want to interact with her, better if they can hold the treat out to their side. You want to avoid leaning over the dog because that can be really confrontational. Front-facing is confrontational with dogs. Sideways is more polite way to approach. Also, the guardian's done what a lot of my clients do. The dog is asleep. They're like, look, look how cute she is, and come and pet her. Well, if I'm asleep and somebody keeps on waking me up to tell me how cute I am, after a while, it's no longer a compliment. So when she's asleep, try to let her sleep. If you do want her to come to you, try to wake her up and call her so she's coming to you versus you going to her. If you're going to reach to pet a dog, I always like to reach and stop a couple inches in front of the dog's nose. If the dog turns its head to the side, lowers its head, or backs away, that's the dog's way of saying, I don't want you to pet me. So if I reach like this, and I stop and I let the dog make the decision, and the dog pulls its head away, and I pull my arm back, the dog just said, hey, David understood what I said, and he respected what I said. I have more confidence in David. I can let my guard down a little bit more around David. A lot of us, we just pet the dog anyways. And so I think that's part of where some of that might have come from. Also, I think the guardians at times have like snatched her to put her on the harness to take her out and walk because they have to walk her. Well, I understand we have to walk her, but that's going to break the confidence. So what we want to do, anything that we're going to do that the dog doesn't like, break it down into individual steps, practice the first step over and over and over, then go to step 2, 3, 4, 5, and do these things out of context. Don't only put the harness on her when you're going outside. Put the harness on her before you feed her. Put the harness on her before you play with her. Put the harness on her for no reason whatsoever, using the method that we showed above. Eventually, you'll hold out that harness and she'll just run over, stick her head in, and you clip it, and then you give her the treat afterwards. But keep going that, and when you're doing the harness, make sure you do it, and this is good for all training, don't do it in one place. Dogs don't generalize. So do it here, do it there, do it there, do it here, sitting on the ottoman, do it at the dining room table, upstairs, downstairs. Dogs don't need to practice things in multiple areas before they got it. You look pretty cute back there. She's tucked herself into a little corner. If she does have a dog bed, oh, you're gonna give me a come? Now this is not petting passive training because I kind of mimicked like I had a treat. Well, we'll talk about petting with a purpose and passive training right now. So petting with a purpose is if she wants you to pet her, she comes up and scratches you, jumps at you, barks at you. She's telling you what to do. Instead of petting her, I want you to give her a counter order. Tell her to sit down. That's passive training. We're going to talk about that in a sec. So tell her to sit or lay down. If she's already sitting here, tell her to sit here, here, or here. Or she has to do something to change her state. And if she does sit within that 2 seconds window, and remember, only say it once, then pet her here or in the oval. I prefer to pet here if all things are equal. And then pet her as much or as little as you want. If she doesn't do what you want the first time you say it, the more you say it, the less you mean it. She'll practice ignoring you. And you're going to pet me anyways. So tell her to sit. If she sits, then she gets attention. If she doesn't sit, there's no punishment, there's no chastisement, but she does not get the reward. After a while, she'll start sitting in front of you to prepay for the attention. When she does, make sure you pet her and reward her for doing that. Use the watchword paycheck if you suspect someone's petting without a purpose. If I'm petting her and someone says paycheck, I stop petting her even if I did it right. I tell her to sit, and if she does, then I pet her on her chin and I can explain to people I did it right, you just missed it. Try to do that exclusively. You're going to pet her, you're going to be times you're going to find you're going to pet her for doing the wrong things. That's okay, but try to do that as much as you can. Remember, it'll boost her self-esteem, it'll increase her confidence for you as a leader, it'll help her practice basic obedience, and it makes your pets more valuable. Let me see, we also talked about passive training, which is what I do in here. So she walking towards you, try to recognize that. When she's 1 foot away, say come, then pet her under the chin. She's about to sit down, say sit right before she sits down or right as she sits down, and then pet her for that. I do this with my dogs for stretch. Every time they start to stretch, I say stretch, and then they do their stretch, and I pet them afterwards. Now I can say stretch, and they stick their butt in the air and waggle their tail and the whole 9 yards. So it's a fun way to do it. Name all of your individual toys. Every time she brings this over, you call it George. Call this one, Twitter or Owl. There you go. So every time she brings it to you, if she grabs this and she's walking towards you, when she's a foot away, say Owl and then pet her. And something a lot of people don't realize, just because I bring you this as a dog does not mean I want you to take it from me. Sometimes I just want to show you that I have the owl. Don't you want my owl? Look how yeah. That's fine. So if you reach and she kind of backs away. Now they like to play a game and chase and stuff as well, but sometimes they just like to grab things. One of the things you could do is when she grabs it, conditioning and rewarding a dog for grabbing things in their mouth, the dogs that bite and nip, that's a good thing to do because you can get her when a guest comes over and grab Owl. And now she's got something in her mouth and she can squeak it and feel a little bit more relaxed and comfortable. Are you going for my treats? She's sneaking around behind me. Passive training is celebrating the things the dog does that we like. So we use that as your watchword. Celebrate means you missed an opportunity to reward the dog and you only have 2 seconds. By the time I say celebrate to you, you have no time. So if somebody says celebrate, I just turn and I start petting whatever the thing is. Sorry about that, sweetheart. That was good. She didn't freak out. As sudden movements are going to cause her to not like things. So if somebody says celebrate, you just stop what you're doing and pet the dog. Don't say anything, just pet him. But the better thing to do is wait. Owl! Just like that. So she picked it up, I said owl, and then I petted her. So after a while, I can say owl, and she'll go get owl. She probably does now since the way the guardians have said it. If she likes to play, so owl.
Owl.
And then pet. And if she likes to play fetch,
She does, yeah.
say fetch as you throw it. When she brings it back to you, does she drop it for you? Or do you have to take it from her?
We have to.
So you just hold out a treat, and then she'll drop it, and then try to anticipate right before she drops it. Say drop, then she drops it, and you put a treat in her mouth. So drop means that I'm going to get a treat if I drop something. Come here. She's tired.
If you throw it to the door and say fetch.
Yeah, I'm trying to lure her into the shot. Yes. She's like, I'm thinking about it. There we go. Owl. There you go. All right. Now, I think that it might be beneficial to have Laura or myself come back. And so if you want to do that, just let us know. If you're going to do multiple sessions, like I said, we'll work with you on the price. I just think that right now we just focus a lot of what the humans are doing. But there's things we can do about teaching her to a dog bed or counter condition her. We can set it up if somebody knocks on your door, she runs over here and goes to your dog bed across the room. Remember, for your dog bed, get a light color, white, light cream, or light gray. No pattern on it. And try to get one like a cushion so there's not a lot of wrinkles like in my shirt. I'm so thin. And so, but you could say, and then, when people come to your door, you could tell her to go to the dog bed. That's increasing the distance, going to make her feel more relaxed. And we have a bunch of exercises where we can actually condition it. When she goes to the dog bed, you could have a marching band come through your house and she stays in the dog bed. We could also send somebody back to do what we call the Relaxation Protocol, which is teaching your dog to stay calm and relaxed under various levels of stimulation, from clapping to jumping around and ringing the doorbell and all sorts of stuff. It's a 15-day process. We'd come over and show you the first step and give you a printout. And I have a bunch of trainers that can come by and show you how to do that as well. What do you say? Do you have anything else you want? She wants some more bully sticks. So this is my buddy, Callie, even though you spell it different than my dog named Callie. And this is Callie's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.